What's up, everybody? And as you can see, we're back with a little bit of 10 things. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these. I've tried to get a different perspective or different source material. So I've been doing a little bit more digging than normal. So that's what's been taking some time up with these. But let's go ahead and hop right on to it. Today we are going to go over the best tabletop RPGs that are not 5th ed. So yeah, we're going to be going over these. So let's go ahead and hop on to it. Now this is from February 2001. February 21st, 2001 by Alex Meehan. Link for this will be down in the description. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So the first one on the list is Blades of Dark. I have not played this one. But pull off an elaborate heist using an unusual flashback system with steampunk RPG. So, and this actually does go into a little bit more info here. So this may run just a little bit longer. So yeah, the city of Duskval is a dangerous place. Its streets are filled with gangs, guards, and even ghosts. So, okay, this is going to be like a supernatural type thing. Okay, I can dig it. It's also setting for the steampunk fantasy role-play game, Blades in the Dark, created by John Harper. Crawl right out of the darkest holes of society using wits, connections, and instinct. I do tend to like that. So it looks like the city, it's extreme wealth and poverty, rich nobles, and of course poor people. So you've got the classic clash there of the wealthy and the poor. I'm liking that. Each session is shaped around a job. So kind of how do I want to put it? Very kind of especially if it's around a job, very much like Shadowrun-esque, I guess is the best way to put it, because typically you do one job per session. So pulling off bank heists. Unlike many other heist stories, this one you won't have any devising pain beforehand. Instead, the players are able to pause in the middle of the action to describe a flashback sequence that will somehow explain how their character was prepared for a sudden obstacle or setback. Okay, so it's kind of like now you see me type thing. They do everything and then it goes into a flashback. Okay, I can dig that. I can get into that. This gameplay system is allowed for pacing for each session to flow smoothly, rather than having one large section in the beginning where the players make the plan. It also adds an element of improvisation and chaos to the experience, echoing the characters' own feelings, the picture feelings the feeling of them over their head. It is an evil hat. The players manage to complete the job without getting locked up by the authorities or taken out by a rival gang. Then they'll go on to accept more ambitious work. So this one sounds very much like a can you see me type thing. If very Ocean's 11 type feel. So if you like a steampunk Ocean's 11 type feel, there you go. The classic, this has been around forever. So Call of Cthulhu, most everyone is pretty familiar with Call of Cthulhu, myself included. That being said, it is, you've got humans, clerics, rogues, you've got cultists, you've got, it uses a D100 system, so 2 10-sided dice. Basic rule system that previously powered the 70s fantasy RPG RuneQuest. So for decades, Call of Cthulhu's evolved through multiple editions, as well as inspire horror board games like the Arkham Horror series, but it remains one of the best RPGs of 2022. Those after a spooky story and stark contrast to D&D power fantasy, and in some places even bigger than D&D. Whether you're uncovering mysteries, happenings in the mansion, traveling out of the world, to halt the end of the world ritual, basically to stop Cthulhu from coming through. Now this one's very interesting. Cyberpunk Red. Now I did get looking down here beside my chair for it. Because that's where all my stuff went from Free RPG Day. Not a little bit earlier this month. Let's see. What? But there was actually a quick start for Cyberpunk Red in there. I can't find it right now, guys. Sorry, but the classic, RPG got an update. First seeing the scenes in 1988, Cyberpunk is a series that becomes synonymous with dark corporate schemes, transhuman technology, and jackets with the largest collars you've ever laid your eyes on. Since its release, Cyberpunk has received multiple editions. Let's see. Cyberpunk Red is a streamlined version of the sci-fi role-playing game. Takes place during 2040s, so not too near distant future. In years before the popular video game adaptation of Cyberpunk 2077, it is set inviting players to step into a seedy, exciting world of Night City. So it does. So if you do have players at the table who have played 2077, I myself have. So this kind of gives you an idea of some of the physical of the where to put stuff in Night City. In Cyberpunk, you're looking at adding tech to yourself, weapons. Here's a perfect thing. If you've always fancy yourself a musician, you can create a rocker boy geared up to lead the revolution. Or if you're a fan of the 1995 film Hackers, then you can live your dream through breaking through top security networks with Netrunner class. So it's got a little bit of everything from, the face all the way to like the computer, the techie guy. Typically, those are the type of guys I tend to play. Is a little bit of the techier side. So yeah, definitely. What I'll try to do is get a copy of that quick start. Let me even do a video on it here, just to kind of go over it here. You can go on to the website here. It looks like it's about an hour or so. And Cody Pondsmith there will walk you through it if you're more interested in it. Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Now, this one we may differ on because I've played, Vampire the Masquerade. Personally, I am a kind of a older. I like going back to the dark ages when I play, just because there's so much more you can do out in the open in Dark Ages as opposed to the Masquerade. And it doesn't. And Masquerade, especially modern day, does get a lot of political type stuff. And typically, if you see me on the chill streams of Legion of Myth, or you just see me in talking, I hate political stuff. So But Vampire began as its life as an edgy adult role-playing game and made strides of itself apart from the power fantasy games as D&D represent, such as D&D represented, offering players a darker and more mature experience. After multiple controversies, the poor creative decisions, Vampire more evolved into a more self-aware title whose recent creators are trying to steer it in more inclusive and less regressive territory. This is one of the new ones that have been taken on. I think Modifius took this one on the way it looks. So yeah, Modifius is taking over Vampire. So definitely, if you enjoy those Modifius games, here you go. They finally got Vampire for you. Quest, perhaps the most accessible tabletop role-playing game ever made. So in reading this, it is, you do start out with a single D20. The GM relays what happens as a result of your roll rather than having traits, features such as and such. Player characters must have special actions that they can perform depending upon their class. With these actions, encouraging players to be descriptive rather than crunching numbers. Sometimes I like my crunchy games. Sometimes I like my crunch light. This sounds like this is going to be a crunch light. Creating character and quest takes about 5 minutes and involves filling out a one-page sheet that works similar to the Mad Libs game. Okay. Preparation for one-shots campaign is more about providing your players with fun storylines. Oh, look at that. Storylines. I said story. Drink. For them to follow and characters to interact with. All of these, plus the rules book, clean and uncluttered design. Is perfect for introducing fresh players into role-playing. It can be a struggle to get people into TTRPGs, which I definitely have seen that. I know a lot of people do gravitate toward 5e to begin with. 5e is great for you to start with. I'm just going to put it this way. It's something that allow you to cut your teeth on, and then you can move to something else. Because, like myself, I don't play just one game. I'll play Pathfinder. I'll play, Call of Cthulhu. There's just a lot of different games I really enjoy out there. And, it's fun to jump around into, because, I do like my D&D. I love my Pathfinder. I love my Exalted. But sometimes you just need that palate cleanser to kind of move past what you've played. And really, truthfully, that can actually be good for your entire table if you think about it, because it totally throws off everything. All are able to work together above and beyond what you have here. Questions of Godsend to help players and GMs cut through all the basically get rid of all the reading, everything else, and get to the role-playing parts. It is also a great RPG to help children get into TTRPGs. So there you go, folks. If you're looking for something that the kids can play, maybe you don't want to do a little bit of the D&D, because maybe it's just a little too violent. Maybe it's just a little crazy out there. This is a great way you can also get the young gamers excited and get them in, because it's very easy because kids love to be descriptive. They have the best imaginations everywhere. So, definitely want to get that in there. And once again on YouTube, there is a Let's Play. It looks like it's about an hour. So if you're interested in that, there you go. Lancer. Plot. A giant robot and explore a far-flung galaxy. Who doesn't want to control a massive space robot? I do. Me. Uh, Now, I will say I've been invited into a Lancer game. I have not been able to do that yet for the simple fact of time constraints. So, a buddy of mine does absolutely love Lancer. Uh, but, Lancer draws on the classic mech anime such as Gundam and Evangelion to bring to life its version of a far flung future, much more upbeat than the grim dark likes of Warhammer 40K. Players control pilots working on behalf of various factions who hop into their powerful mechs to solve whatever problem is required of them. The RPG mixes deep narrative storytelling with tactical edge in its mech-based combat, with the ability for the players to highly customize their machines and deploy onto a hex-based grid for battles. Yes! See, it's hex-based. No squares. Hexes. Lancer's futuristic setting mixes crunchy combat with more fantastical elements while players progress the story and the development of their characters both in and out of the mech. While the game's universe isn't quite a utopia, someone still needs to employ the player's pilots to solve problems. After all, it's much more hopeful and bright looking at sci-fi than the recent trends of dark dystopian horror. Some people like that. So, if you're not a fan of the dark dystopian horror type of trope like the 40K, things like that, this you can kind of go this route because it sounds like this is going to be more toward your anime-ish. I know they use the Gundam in there, so those you love uh, Gundam and Evangelion, this is right up your alley. Um, Lancer finds a thematic sweet spot between the flashy cinemascope of Saturday morning cartoons and the serious commentary on human society. Wrapped up in a complex visionary takes on an ever popular genre, big fighting robots. Big fighting robots, that sounds amazing. One of the most original RPG settings in recent years, accompanied by rewarding gameplay. It already looks like it's set to become a modern classic. So, yes, like I said, I have not played this one myself. I've been invited to a game or two, but I've just not gotten there yet. And yeah. So, number 7, Lasers and Feelings. Blades in the Dark creators sci-fi RPG. So, the one of the first ones we went over, the Blades in the Dark. This is their sci-fi adaptation. Let's see. Each character has a single number to represent both lasers and feelings, with players needing to roll a single 6-sided die under lasers to succeed or over to succeed at the feelings challenge. A straightforward format comes courtesy of Blades of Darkness, whose original Laser and Feelings release put players in in the red shirts of the crew of the spaceship Raptor as they encounter various threats in our galaxy, handily provided by a random roll table. If you can't think of your own, from space pirates to cyber zombies. Now, cyber zombies, interesting. Lasers and Feelings, cleverly compact rules set, has also seen it become the basis of many standalone RPGs since, including likenesses of Boy Problems based on the music of pop Carly Rae Jepsen, Dark Souls inspired RPG Sword and Board. Whether you pick up the original or one of its descendants, Lasers and Feelings is the perfect RPG when you're looking for something entertaining but not exhausting to play. Monster Hearts 2. Supernatural beings experience intense amount of angst in this tabletop RPG. Being a teenager is super hard, dealing with all the change, super pressure, social pressures. Understanding who you are is plenty to have to cope with. It's an RPG, challenges the adolescents to make them exponentially more troublesome by adding in supernatural elements as well. The game is about trials and tribulations, joys of growing up. Okay, the game sees players becoming some classic supernatural beings, such as vampires, werewolves, as some more unusual creatures like living toys called the Hollow, attempting to navigate the world of youth. Okay, so this could be a little kind of if you want to think of your classic monsters and things like that. Okay. The player characters in Monster Heart 2 will find themselves struggling against their own worst tendencies in order to better realize themselves. Each supernatural species in the game has its own unique vice, and that player's character will have to wrestle with it if they're going to build healthy relationships with others. These relationships can be romantic and or sexual in nature, uh, with queer relationships being actively supported by the text, but can also be platonic connections, with the back and forth exchanges to give and receiving power being backed up by the game's mechanics. Okay, so a little bit of I would say this is more like a interpersonal drama type. So if you like those type where you have to role play out that y'all like each other and get through things and grow, there you go. And once again, there's another YouTube video right here you can go and find that where they're doing a let's play on that. So all right, Fiasco. Emulate a neo noir movie with the Conan brothers in the role of the Conan brothers in a role playing game that goes wrong. Okay. Pulling off the perfect plan without a hitch is satisfying, but sometimes the most memorable moments come from everything going south. Dropping players into the bot setups of Foolish Criminal, Fiasco is the best tabletop RPG where nothing goes your way. Uh, Fiasco leans into a cinematic debt to crime capers like Fargo and Burn After Reading, along with basically all the Conan Brothers movies. By breaking gameplay into a number of scenes, players create characters that have relationships with each other, but who are mostly out for their own benefit, with tragic and comedic, sometimes at the same time, consequences. See, this one I don't like too well because no game master. There's no way to keep everything on track and going. So if you like a GM-less game, rules light, there you go. Coyote and Crow, indigenous RPG that imagines post-colonial world. Treads familiar ground, tabletop RPG settings, presents a future vision of Earth transformed in the wake of global climate crisis for players to explore. Both on and off the table, however, Coyote and Crow represents something new. Created by an indigenous-led team, head by a Cherokee designer, the RPG imagines a world where colonization never occurred, breaking free of the Eurocentric influences and philosophies established by the likes of Dungeons and Dragons. Coyote and Crow setting of, I'm going to try that one. Moccasin is an alternate North America that was never colonized by European settlers. Hundreds of years after a meteor collision almost wiped out humanity and plunged the world into hospitable winters. During a period known as Awis. If I mispronounce these, I'm sorry. Players controlled inhabitants of the world, 5 indigenous inspired nations, as they use advanced technology to force known technology and a first known as Endenani to thrive in the post-apocalyptic landscape. Number one, D12 system. Love my D12s. Focus on solving encounters creatively without immediately resorting to violence. So, you know, they also have this out here if that's something you like. Definitely you can go ahead and check all these out. Like, once again, like I said, I will have a link in the bottom in the description. Also in the description, I will also have a link to the merch. So make sure you do check that out also. I'll go ahead and throw some of that up there. There's some of the shirts. I've added some new stuff. I've got some new designs up there. Don't forget that we also, every Thursday night on my channel and on Bruce Lombardo's channel, we do have table breakers. So make sure you do join us for that. Thank you, everybody. We'll catch you next time.